Hello everyone, welcome to Programming Fundamental course. In our previous lecture, we had studied about what is programming, what are the different programming languages that we have, what is C language, why are we studying C language, what is a compiler, what different software compiler do we have to execute our code written in a particular programming language. In today's lecture, we'll study more about C programming language, the syntax of C programming language, what are constants in C, variables, keywords, and functions in C programming language, and how do we use them to write a basic code. This is a very basic code in C language, which will give you welcome to C on the output screen when run on a C compatible compiler. The explanation of the syntax is available in the following slides. What is syntax? For example, if we talk about English language, we have got letters. From those letters, we make words. From those words, we make sentences. Using those sentences, we make paragraphs. Similarly, in C language, we have got keywords, we have got constants, we have got variables. Using those keywords, constants, and variables, we make statements. And using different statements, we write a code, a piece of code, a block of code, and we execute it. On its execution, it gives us a certain output on a black CMD screen. So understand those constants, those variables, those keywords, those functions are the syntax of C. And in this lecture, we will understand those variables, constants, the syntax. In this program, we have integer main. C program contains multiple functions. Out of those functions, the most important and basic one is main. What is a function? A function is a piece of code that is written to perform a specific task. We write a piece of code, a block of code, and we give it a function, give it a name. That name is known as the function name. Whenever we will write that name, we won't see this, but at the back end, C will run all those line of codes that are associated with that particular name, the function name. What does integer means? Int means over here. Int main. This is what is written in the line, in that line. What does int means over here? Int represents integer. What is integer? Integer is a data type. We will explain, we will understand this thing in our following lectures, that why do we write int before main, and what do we mean by writing int after main. When you talk about main, it is basically void main void. VOID, void main void. The first void tells you what does void means. Void means empty, nothing. The first void tells you that the function main is not taking any data, anything input from any other function. And the second void main void, the second void tells you that it is not giving anything as an output or anything to any other function. It is giving an output on the black CMD screen, but that is a part of main, but it is not giving anything, it is not passing any value to any other function. After studying 4-5 lectures, 3-4 lectures of C programming, when you'll have a good knowledge of it, we will move to the topic of functions. In that topic, we will read this particular thing in detail. What do you mean by not returning a value, not passing a value or anything? Now, the round brackets following the main indicates it's a function. Every time there are round brackets after a word, that means that word is a function name. We will study what function is in the coming lectures. The curly brackets are known as parentheses. They represent a block of code. See line number 7 and 12. There is an opening parenthesis followed by a closing parenthesis. Between these parentheses, whatever is written is a block of code that is associated with the function above the parenthesis. Before our opening parenthesis, main was declared, function main was declared. So after it, the parenthesis will contain the block of code for main. Printf is another function which is used to print something on the output screen, also known as the CMD. Anything that is followed by a pair of round brackets is known as a function. Printf also has round brackets after printf statement, after printf keyword. Now, what is printf? If I wish to give anything as on the output as it is, if I want to give my name on the output black CMD, I'll just write printf, and within the brackets, within double quotes, I'll write my name, and that will go as it is on the output screen. This is the purpose of having printf. Every line in a C program is referred as a statement. Like in English language, we end a sentence using a full stop. Similarly, in C program, we end a statement using a semicolon, which is known as a terminator in C. What are escape sequences? Escape sequences are used to enhance the output. For example, if I want and on my output screen that if I've written three printfs, whatever is written in those three printfs would go in the same line. Until and unless I will add escape sequence \n to it. If I'll write \n, it will move the cursor to next line. So the purpose of escape sequences is to enhance the output. Here, all the escape sequences are written. You can see them and use them in your code. Return 0 is a statement that is used to end a program. Again, we will further discuss what does return 0 means and how does it works in the following lectures. Right now, you need to know this. Whenever you are ending a program, you write return 0 if you have written integer main at the top. The second program is a more elaborated program in comparison to the first one. A new function, scanf, is introduced in this program. It is used to get input from the user at runtime. C program also consists of constant variables and keywords. A constant is an entity that does not changes, whereas a variable is an entity which will change as per the need. In C programming, we need to give names to every piece of data that is either given in the computer, given in the program, hard-coded, or is taken input at runtime from the user. These names are stored in the computer memory, just like in human memory. Whether I'm using printf or whether I'm using scanf to take my data input. If I'm using scanf to take my data input, that means that I want my user, whoever is running my program, whenever my program will be run, he will be asked to enter a certain value. That value will be stored in the memory. To store that value in the memory, you need to give some reference number to that value. You need to store it in the memory with some variable so that you can remember where it is stored and the memory can remember where it is stored. For this purpose, we have got variables. For example, Mr. A has got two sisters. Sister is a constant. Sister will always remain sisters. You cannot say Mr. A has got two cousins. Mr. A has got two sisters. Okay? Has got two sisters. Now, but if I want to refer to sister number 1, how would I refer to sister number 1? How would I differentiate between the two sisters? For this particular purpose, you name those sisters. For example, B and C. Similarly, in the memory, a constant is a data type. What is a data type? A constant basically defines you that what type of data would be taken input from the user at runtime, or what type of data are you given hard-codedly. What do you mean by the term hard-coded? The hard-coded refers to that the data has been given input in the code and will always remain the same. User cannot give input, user cannot change that data. Now, again, back to the topic, what is constant? Constant is, what is constant? Constant is the data types that we have in C language. What data types do we have? We have integer, we have character, we have float. These are the few data types that you will study right now. You will be using right now in your C programming. As we proceed, you will learn about arrays, you will learn about string, you will learn about double, you will learn long. All these data type will be introduced to you, but right now what 3 data types you need to remember is float, character, integer. What are these data types and why are these constant? Whenever I'll write integer a is my variable name that I have given to an integer. What does integer means? Integer means that a will contain a numeric number in it, a whole number, a numeric whole number in it. A will store a numeric whole number in it. Character a, what does this mean? This means a character, char a. Character is written as char a. This means it will store an alphabet or a symbol in it. The third is float. What does float means? Float A will refer to that it will store a numeric number, but a fractional number. It can be in points, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, or whatever it is. Okay? This is the difference between integer, character, and float, and these are the data types, the constant data types. Now I can name them A, B, C, alpha, beta, gamma, anything. But if I have chosen float, it will always remain float. It can only have a fractional value in it. It cannot store a character value in it. This is the difference. And variable names keep on changing. Either I cannot write anything else other than float to initialize a float. I have to write float. I cannot write integer to initialize the float. This is the constant part. Whereas the variable name depends on me. It can be A, B, C, anything that I want. Now, moving forward, keywords. Keywords are words whose meanings have already been keywords are words whose meanings have been already explained in the C library. Keywords cannot be used as variable names. Some popular keywords are else, break, continue, return, etc., which you will see as we proceed. What does this mean? This means these words have certain meanings that has been told to the compiler. We cannot use these words as variable names, firstly, and secondly, all these words, whenever will be used for a particular reason that has been already defined to the compiler. We cannot define that reason. This is all for today. In our next lecture, we will study about operators.